Hi guys, welcome back. In this video, we are going to talk about a Flutter app using MQTT. I have already done this app for iOS and Android separately using the respective MQTT clients. I have videos for that. If you want to watch those videos, I will post the link in the description. In this video, we are going to do an MQTT app using Flutter. The advantage here is you will get both iOS and Android versions using the single code base. That's what Flutter is for. And if you want to know more on MQTT, like how it works, what is the protocol, etc., you can look into my Android video where I explain all these things. I'll post the link in the description. In this video, we will just walk through the Flutter app, how it is created and how it interacts using MQTT. So let's have a quick look what our app does. So here you can see two apps, iOS and Android. So I'm using Mosquito MQTT broker. You can use multiple brokers like Hive, MQ, etc. So here I have created a random topic just like the Flutter AMP cool. Here also I'm created one topic Flutter AMP cool. So first thing is like you can see the connection status is disconnected. So I have a connection status label, then two text fields to enter the broker address and the topic. And you can see that unless and until you are connected, you cannot send a message and you cannot disconnect. The same here. So you can see using one's code base, you get the same look or across the apps. I mean, you can change the look in iOS by using the Cupertino widgets. Right now, this is fine for me. So let's connect and see what happens. So now you can see that the state has changed to connected. Now you no longer be able to edit these two fields. This is now fixed, and you can see that the enter text, enter a message, and the send button got enabled. Now let's try the same thing in iOS. Okay, so now both are connected and subscribe to this topic. So let's enter a hello. Okay, you can see that immediately both of them got the update. Yeah, so that's basically it is. So through the MQTT broker, these guys are talking in real time. So a message has been pushed into the broker or the topic, and whoever subscribes will get the update. So it's device agnostic. It can be like iOS, Android, or something else listening to the topic, maybe a Raspberry Pi. So it also uh, get the update. So that's the beauty of MQTT. It's device agnostic. Okay, so that's what our app does. So like right now through the app you can send any message and whoever subscribes gets it. Right now I just put it as a chat kind of app. So if you have a subscriber in a Raspberry Pi which is connected to some other device like an LCD or something, maybe you can pass in the text which comes in into that LCD screen and display that message. Okay, so let's dive into the source code right now. So I use Android Studio for my Flutter development. So let's first look into the pubspec YAML file. So I'm using two packages here. One is the MQTT client and the other one is the provider package. MQTT client is mainly my for handling the MQTT connection management, sending and receive events, data, etc. So I'm using that package, and the provider package is for state management. So this is the page where you can know more about the MQTT client, and this is the provider package. And if you want to know more about provider package, how it works, so there is a nice video in Google IO called Pragmatic State Management in Flutter, which talks about how provider works and how you manage the states. I will post the link to all of this in the description, so you can go and check it out. Okay, so you have MQTT client and provider in the pubspec YAML file. Now let's go to this class called MQTT app state. So this is like a model. In the MQTT app state, I have an MQTT app connection state, nothing but an enum which says like whether the app is connected, disconnected, or is it connecting. And then you have the another class which has the global MQTT app state, and it is a change notifier object, which means that whenever a change happens to any of the field, you can notify its listeners so that the listeners can accordingly update the UI. In this MQTT app state, you have a property called connection state, received text, and history text. So received text is something which you receive from a topic, and history text is an accumulation of whatever you have received or whatever you have sent. So as you can see in the app, so you can see the history also. Okay, first Android says hello and then iOS says hello. So this history is being added up and shown in a text view. That is what is for history text. And you have getters and setters. So here you can see, right, the moment you get a text, you receive a text, you are updating the property and notifying the listeners, okay, something has changed in this object. And same for the connection state. Okay, if disconnection happens, then it updates the listeners, okay, now I'm disconnected, so please do the necessary activity. So that is this notify listeners, and these are the getters for these properties. So that is what this class is for. It's like a model object. Then you have a class called MQTT manager. So this is the class which actually manages the connection, listens to the topic, publishes a topic, etc. So MQTT manager has few properties. One is the current state, current app state. Then the other one is the MQTT client. This comes from the MQTT client package. Then an identifier, host, and topic, which is passed from the UI that we have already seen. In the initialize MQTT client, we initialize an MQTT client from the package using the host and identifier. Then the port is usually set as 1883, which is configured for the normally available MQTT brokers. And you can have authentication also. Right now I'm using the free open MQTT broker channel, so that's why it's not authenticated, but you can do an authentication also. Then I'm setting some callback methods, like for on disconnected, I'm setting my on disconnected method over here, which just sets the connection state to disconnected. Then yeah, here you turn off whether it is secure or not. So if you are making it secure, you have to pass in the username and password. And if you want logging, so like this, you can see these logs are coming because you have turned the logging on. So if you turn it off, you no longer see these logs. Then you have some more callbacks. When it is connected, you are calling the connected callback function, and on subscribe, you are calling the on subscribe. And here you are setting the general connection message configuration using the identifier. Then you set the quality of service. So I have explained the quality of service in my Android video, so if you want to see, please go and check that out. Then I have the connect method. So in this connect method, you use the client and do the connection, and respectively handle any exception. Like if there is any exception happen, you just call the disconnect. So in this disconnect, you just tell the client to disconnect the connection. And the publish method, so this is where, as a client, I want to publish something to the topic. So you create a payload using the client payload builder and add the string, add a message, and then publish that message. Then you have the subscribe callback. So here, like if you want to do anything after you have successfully subscribed to a topic, you can do that. And on disconnected, you just set the state, and on connected, you set the state to on connected. Then you subscribe to the topic which is being passed from the UI, and then you create a listener to listen to the update, so which is a stream listener. So this piece of code handles the payload which comes from the topic. Let's say if somebody posts some thing to the topic, you get that, and you parse that out into whatever format you want. I mean, usually string. And I'm setting the state of the current state with this text, like receive text. Say for example, when Android says like hello comes here, and you set that message over here. So this can be separated. Right now I just put everything on connected. When connection is successful, do all these things. You can provide more fine operations, like add a subscribe button once connection is done. Then you can subscribe and start listening. So you can do all those kind of things, but right now I just put it in on connected. Yeah, that's all with the MQTT manager. So what he does is he initializes the MQTT client using the host name and topic passed from the fields that we have. Then it manages the state, whether a connection gets disconnected, or when a topic is being subscribed, or any update comes from a topic. All these things are being handled by the MQTT manager, and MQTT manager updates the current state class that we have seen before. Okay, so that's what it does. I just wanted to separate this logic out from the widget logic. That's why I have created this manager class. Next is our UI. So here I have created this UI as a stateful widget. So we are managing lots of states in the UI using text fields, buttons, etc. So I have three text editing controllers for each of the text fields here. Then I have the current app state and an instance of MQTT manager. And on dispose, I'm disposing the text controllers. And in the build, so this is where we use the provider package. So we get an instance of app state from the provider, and keeps that state into this property, so that I can use this state in the whole class. So I get the current state of the app and save it here, and I have a scaffold, and I have an app bar. So I just created small functions for building these UI, so that it will be easier to move around things. So this build app bar just builds an app bar and add a text title as MQTT, as you can see here. And after app bar, I have the build column. So this is a column widget. So I have a text widget here which shows the connection status, then two text fields, one row with one text field and one button, another row with two buttons, and again one uh, single child scroll view with the text inside it. So that's how it is constructed. So in this build column method, first we will have the connection state uh, creation. So let's go and see what it has. So in this connection state, I have a row. Okay, since I wanted to add the background color, so I had to create it as a row. So I create a row and put a container inside with this deep orange accent and a text, and I pass in a status. So status is basically comes from the current app state. So you, let's say this is object which is managed by the MQTT manager. So on the beginning, this app state default value will be disconnected. So when you start the app fresh, you will see the label showing as disconnected. Yeah, so now you have the label which shows the connection status. So how does the UI gets rebuilt when a state changes? That's because you can see that this widget depends upon this state to build itself. So it knows like whenever a state changes, so whatever widgets which is dependent on the state needs to be rebuilt. So that's how it knows like whenever a connection current app state changes, it has to rebuild. So whenever let's say connection get disconnected or connection is connecting, it knows how to update the text. Then you are building the editable column. So here you have three text fields. So here also I have created a convenience function to create the text fields. So what it does is like it takes a text editing controller, hint text, and a connection state. So here you can see message text controller, which is this one. So message text controller would be enabled only if the connection state is connected, and the other two will be enabled only if the connection state is disconnected. So once you are connected, you are no longer be allowed to change the broker address and topic. So that's how I designed the app. So here you can see with these states you created a text field which takes whether it should be enabled or disabled, and the controller which text editing controller to be used, and a hint text. That's all. So with one single function I have managed to create three different text fields, and for the spacing I have put size box to have bit of spacing between these text fields. Then I have this publish message raw. So this is going to be a text field and a button. So here it's a row, and you have the text field which is the message field, so which as I explained before. So it also takes the connection app state. Then you have a send button. So send button is normal raised button which is with the text send. And here also you can see like in the on pressed I will check the state. If the connection state is connected, then it gets enabled, else I just pass a null. And on pressed I have a function to publish the message. So whatever was entered in the text field gets sent to the manager. So manager has, as we have seen, manager has a publish function which accepts a string which internally is passed to the MQTT client. But the UI only knows that a manager exists. It doesn't know what is beneath it, like MQTT client or any other client, it doesn't matter. And here, just to make sure, just to differentiate between the platforms, I just created a platform specific identifiers. Like if the platform is iOS, it will say Flutter under iOS, and just I'm just concatenating the string. So if I input hello, then the final message would be Flutter iOS or Flutter Android says hello, and then you publish the message. And after publishing, I just clear the text field so that you can enter the next message. Yeah, so that's what happened with the send button. Where were we? So we have discussed the text field, both broker, topic, then the row with the message and send button. Then you have the connect button. Okay, I should have renamed to a row. Yeah. So this is a row with two raised buttons. One says connect and one says disconnect, and it's again the same. So if the state is disconnected, then the connect button will be enabled, which will do the configure and connect. So in the configure and connect, we have to pass in an identifier. So right now I am just passing it like plain Flutter iOS or Flutter Android, but when you go into production, you have to create a UUID or a unique identifier for the client. Then you create a MQTT manager with these values, with the host name and topic text, and you pass in an instance of the current app state. So this app state is passed to the MQTT manager, and the MQTT manager keeps on updating this app state. So that uh, the view can be rebuilt. Then you initialize this MQTT client with this properties and do the connect. So that's what this connect does. So when the connect gets successful, you the state changes and the view gets rebuilt. And on disconnect, like you just call the disconnect function on the manager, so which internally calls the mqtt client.disconnect. Then we have one more view, which is the bill scrollable text. So here, nothing but you have a single child scroll view and a text widget inside. So if you see in the state, you in the history text, what you're doing is you take the previous history text and add a new line character and add the received text, so that all the text will come in the all the new text will come in the next line. So that's just it. So we just uh, populate that text in the text widget, and the single child scroll view makes it scroll. And yeah, and this is a small utility function which takes an mqtt app connection state and returns a string which can be displayed here. So you can probably add more enums like subscribe successfully, publish successfully, those kind of things, and you can use that to change the state over here. Yeah, that's all with the UI. So we have discussed on how the text fields are managed, how the connect disconnect works, how the send message work, all these things. And one more one more thing left. So when you discuss about the state, there is a concept called, like, if multiple people or multiple widgets want to share a state, so you have to lift the state up. So the topmost guy here is the main file or the material app. So in this material app, we have to define this mqtt app state as a change notifier provider. So change notifier provider comes from the provider package. So here you tell that, okay, mqtt app state is going to be uh, a change notifier, so which because of which it can be shared between multiple widgets. Yeah, so that's also we have seen how the UI is being created, how MQTT manager is being created, how the state object is being created, and how it is being manipulated by the MQTT manager. And using the change notifier, you can get the changes happening to the current state very easily, and accordingly you can rebuild the UI, and you can deploy to both iOS and Android with single code base. And that's all. So hope you enjoy. So that's all, guys. I will post the link to the source code in the description. Please go ahead and try it out. Yeah, and as always in Flutter, you have multiple ways of doing things. This is just one way which I have tried. Uh, if you have, if you find any issues, or if you have a better way to do this, please let me know. Please write comments. Yeah, thank you. Bye bye.